Danny Carter pushed his cleaning cart down the empty hallway of Dock 7. The wheels squeaked softly in the quiet night. He had been working at the Galactic Transit Station for 3 years now, always taking the night shift when most travelers were asleep. It was not exciting work, but it paid his bills and kept him fed. The station was huge, serving hundreds of different alien species who traveled between the stars. Someone had to keep the floors clean and the bathrooms working. That someone was Danny. He did not mind the work too much. The night shift was peaceful, and he liked being alone with his thoughts. Danny hummed an old song his grandmother taught him when he was little. He missed Earth sometimes, missed his family, but this job was all he could afford after his father got sick. The medical bills had eaten up all their savings, so Danny took whatever work he could find, and that work brought him here, to the outer edge of known space. Tonight seemed like any other night. Danny mopped the floors and emptied the trash containers. He checked the air filters and made sure the water dispensers were full. The work was simple and repetitive. He knew every corner of this station by now. That was when he heard the sound. It was small and sad, like a kitten crying, but deeper somehow, with a strange echo to it. Danny stopped pushing his cart and listened carefully. The sound came again, from behind a stack of cargo containers near the loading zone. Danny set down his mop and walked carefully around the containers. He did not know what he would find. Maybe a small animal had gotten loose from one of the ships. That happened sometimes. What he found made him stop breathing for a moment. A small dragon sat against the wall, shaking with fear. It was no bigger than a house cat with bright green scales that seemed to glow even in the dim light. The dragon's wings were pressed tight against its body. Its large golden eyes looked up at Danny with confusion and pain. Danny knew about dragons. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the draconids. They were one of the oldest and most powerful species in known space. They were smart, almost magical in their abilities, and very protective of their children. Finding a baby dragon alone was strange, very strange. The dragon made that sad sound again. It tried to stand up, but its legs wobbled. One of its wings hung at a weird angle, clearly hurt. Danny looked around the empty docking bay. Where were this dragon's parents? He pulled out his small computer pad and checked the station records. A draconid ship had stopped here 6 hours ago, but it had left 2 hours later, heading to the inner colonies. Had they left their baby behind by accident? That seemed impossible. Dragons loved their children more than anything. The baby dragon made another sound, sadder this time. It looked at Danny with those huge golden eyes, and Danny felt his heart break a little. He could not just leave it here. The little dragon was hurt and scared. His shift would not end for another 4 hours. Anything could happen in that time. Danny knelt down slowly, making himself smaller and less scary. He held out his hand carefully. "Hey there, little one," he said in a soft voice. "I am not going to hurt you. I promise." The dragon watched him. Its nostrils flared as it smelled Danny's hand. Then slowly it pushed its small head against Danny's palm. The scales felt warm and smooth under his fingers. Danny smiled. "There you go, see? I am safe." He carefully picked up the dragon, holding it close to his chest like he would hold a cat. The dragon was heavier than it looked, solid and warm. It made a softer sound now, almost like a purr, and curled into Danny's arms. "Let's get you somewhere safe," Danny said. "I have a first aid kit in my supply room. We can fix that wing." Danny carried the dragon through the quiet hallways. The dragon rested its head against his chest, seeming to trust him completely. It made Danny feel good, like he was doing something important for once. He did not notice the huge shadow that moved above them, high up near the ceiling. He did not see the enormous eyes watching his every move. The mother dragon had been there all along, hidden by her natural camouflage. She blended into the darkness so perfectly that even the station's sensors could not detect her. She had been watching since the moment Danny found her child. She wanted to see what this human would do. Would he be kind? Would he be cruel? Would he try to use her baby for profit, as some species might? The mother dragon watched as Danny carried her injured child away with such gentle care. She saw the concern on his face, heard the kindness in his voice, and she followed silently, invisible as smoke, curious about this human janitor who treated her precious child like it was the most important thing in the universe. Danny reached his supply closet and carefully opened the door. It was a small room filled with cleaning supplies and tools. He had a workbench in the corner where he sometimes fixed broken equipment. He spread a clean cloth on the bench and set the dragon down gently. The dragon looked up at him with trusting eyes as Danny opened his first aid kit. All station workers had to carry medical supplies that worked on multiple species. Danny had never thought he would use it on a dragon. He examined the hurt wing carefully. It was not broken, which was good, just badly twisted with a small tear in the thin wing skin. Danny had seen injuries like this before back when he had a dog on Earth. "This is going to sting a little," Danny warned, "but I need to clean it so it does not get infected." He applied medicine to the tear. The dragon flinched and made a sharp sound, but it did not pull away. It seemed to understand that Danny was helping. Danny worked carefully, cleaning the wound and then wrapping the wing in a soft bandage. He kept talking the whole time, his voice low and soothing. "When I was a kid, I had a dog named Copper," Danny said. "He hurt his leg once. I had to carry him all the way home. He trusted me to help him just like you are trusting me now." The dragon made a soft cooing sound. It tilted its head and watched Danny's face as he talked. There was intelligence in those golden eyes, a brightness that made Danny think this dragon understood more than it could say. Outside the door, invisible in the shadows, the mother dragon watched through the small window, and for the first time in a very long time she felt hope. Danny stepped back and looked at his work. The dragon's wing was properly bandaged now, supported so it could heal correctly. The small tear was clean and treated with medicine. The dragon should be fine in a few days as long as it rested. "There we go," Danny said with a smile. "All fixed up. You are going to be okay." The dragon looked at its bandaged wing, then back at Danny. It made a series of sounds that seemed almost like it was trying to talk, but only chirps and small growls came out. Danny tilted his head, watching the dragon carefully. Something about the way it moved its mouth seemed purposeful, like it was trying to form words but could not quite manage it. "You understand me, don't you?" Danny asked softly. "You just cannot talk back yet," the dragon nodded. It was a very human gesture, and it made Danny's eyes widen. This dragon definitely understood him perfectly. An idea came to Danny then. His nephew back on Earth had trouble talking when he was little. His sister had taken the boy to a speech teacher who helped him learn to make the right sounds. Danny had watched those lessons many times when he visited. Maybe those same tricks would work on a dragon. Danny pulled up a chair and sat down so he was at the same level as the dragon. "Want to try something? I might be able to help you talk." The dragon's eyes lit up with excitement. It chirped enthusiastically and leaned forward. "Okay, watch my mouth carefully," Danny said. He spoke slowly and clearly. "Start with something simple. You just hum with your mouth closed. Like this, The dragon stared intently at Danny's lips. It opened its mouth, showing tiny, sharp teeth, then closed it again. A sound came out, rough and uncertain. Yes, that's really good," Danny said, feeling excited now. "You almost have it. Try again. The dragon's second try was much better. Perfect. Now let's add to it. Watch how my mouth opens, ma, see? Ma, ra. The dragon tried. Then with more confidence, ma. Danny felt a rush of pride. This was working. The dragon was actually learning to make the sounds. They worked together for the next hour. Danny taught the dragon basic sounds, the building blocks of speech. He used the same methods his nephew's teacher had used. The dragon watched every movement of Danny's mouth and tried to copy it. Some sounds were harder than others, but the dragon never gave up. Danny was amazed at how fast the dragon learned. It was like the dragon had always known what it wanted to say, but just needed someone to show it how. "Now let's try putting sounds together," Danny said. "Ma, just ma. It means mother in a lot of Earth languages, ma." The dragon took a deep breath. Its golden eyes focused completely on Danny's mouth. "Ma." "Good, but shorter, sharper. Like this. Ma, ma." The sound came out clear and perfect. The dragon's eyes went huge with surprise. It had just made a real word. "Ma, ma, ma."
"You did it!"
Danny laughed with joy. "You are talking. You are actually talking." The dragon hopped up and down on the workbench, careful of its hurt wing. It was so excited it could barely sit still. It kept saying ma over and over like it could not believe it was making words. What Danny did not see was the face pressed against the small window in the door. The mother dragon was watching, and tears shimmered in her enormous eyes. Her child, who the healers had said would never speak, was forming words. Real words. The mother dragon's name was Kalindra. She was one of the most important dragons in the galaxy, a leader of her people. She had taken her child to the best doctors and teachers. They had tried everything to help her baby speak. Nothing had worked. The healers had finally told her that her child's mind was fine, but the connection between thought and speech just did not work properly. Her baby would never be able to talk out loud. The child would only be able to use the telepathic speech that dragons used with each other. Kalindra had accepted this. She loved her child completely no matter what, but it had hurt her heart to know that her baby would never be able to speak to most other species. The child would be limited in a galaxy where spoken language was so important. And now, watching through the window, Kalindra saw a miracle happening. This human, this simple janitor with no special training, was doing what all the experts could not do. He was teaching her child to speak. Inside the room, Danny was teaching more words now. He pointed to himself. "Danny, my name is Danny. Can you say it?" "Danny." The dragon concentrated hard. "Nay, Danny, yes. That's me. I am Danny." He gestured to the dragon. "Do you have a name? Can you tell me?" The dragon made a complex sound, something beautiful and musical that Danny's human mouth could never copy. It had layers to it, almost like a song. Danny laughed and shook his head. "That's beautiful, but I cannot say it. How about I give you a nickname, something I can pronounce? Would that be okay?" The dragon nodded eagerly. "Let me think," Danny said. He looked at the dragon's bright green scales. "How about Ember? Like a glowing coal in a fire. You kind of look like a green ember, all bright and magical." The dragon thought about this for a moment, then nodded with a happy chirp. "Ember, I am Ember." "Yes, you are Ember," Danny said, grinning. "And you are doing so great." "You are learning so fast," Ember puffed up with pride. "Thank you, Danny." The simple words, spoken clearly despite being just learned, made Danny feel something he had not felt in years. Purpose. Joy. Like he was doing exactly what he was meant to be doing. He checked the time on his pad and sighed. "I should probably get back to work. I still have half the station to clean before my shift ends." Ember's face fell. The little dragon reached out with one small claw and touched Danny's hand gently. "Stay, please stay." The plea in those golden eyes almost broke Danny's heart. But he needed this job. He needed the money it paid. He had bills to cover, food to buy. "I wish I could stay, buddy, but I have to work. It is how I earn money to live." Danny thought for a moment. "How about this? I will finish my cleaning rounds, then come back before my shift ends. We can practice more words then, okay?" "Okay," Ember repeated quietly, though the dragon still looked sad. Danny stood up and gathered his cleaning supplies. "I will lock the door from outside. You will be safe in here. Nobody comes to this hallway except me. Just rest and let that wing heal." He turned to go and Ember called out, practicing the new words carefully. "Thank you, Danny." Danny paused at the door, feeling a lump in his throat. He had only known this dragon for a few hours, but already he cared about Ember deeply. "You are welcome, Ember. I will be back soon, I promise." He left the room and locked the door behind him, then headed back to his work. His cleaning cart was waiting where he had left it. The floors would not mop themselves. Danny did not know that the moment he walked away, the air in the hallway began to shimmer. The mother dragon released her camouflage and became visible. She was enormous, her head alone bigger than Danny's whole body. Her dark green scales seemed to absorb the light. She moved to the supply room door and looked through the window at her child. Ember looked up and gasped with joy. "Mother!" Kalindra pressed her head against the window. Her voice spoke directly into Ember's mind, the way dragons talk to each other. "My precious child. You spoke. You truly spoke real words. The human taught me," Ember said out loud, still practicing. "He was so kind. He fixed my wing and showed me how to make words. The healers said I never could." "The healers were wrong," Kalindra said, her mental voice full of wonder and gratitude. "This Danny Carter has done something incredible. He has a gift. He has to work now," Ember explained. "He cleans the station, but he said he would come back." "Then we will wait," Kalindra decided. "I must meet this human properly. I must thank him for what he has done." Danny was cleaning the floor in Dock 3 when his boss found him. Greg Murphy looked stressed and annoyed, which was pretty normal for Greg. The man was always worried about something. "Carter, there you are," Greg said, rushing up to him. "I have been looking everywhere for you. We have a big problem." Danny stopped mopping and straightened up. His back ached from bending over. What kind of problem? A Draconid ship is coming back. Emergency docking. They lost a baby dragon. Greg ran his hand through his thin hair, making it stick up funny. The dragon wandered off during their last stop here. They did not notice until they were already gone. Now they have turned around and they are really angry. Danny's heart started beating fast. They were looking for Ember. The dragon's family had come back. The station manager wants everyone to help search, Greg continued. Have you seen anything strange tonight? Anything unusual? Danny had to make a choice right then. He could tell Greg about Ember. That would be the right thing to do, the rule-following thing. But something made him hesitate. Ember had been so scared when Danny found the little dragon. Hurt and alone and frightened. What if there was a reason Ember had been by itself? What if the dragon was not safe with its family? Danny did not know much about Draconid culture. Maybe baby dragons ran away sometimes. Maybe they were treated harshly if they were different or weak. He had read stories about some species being cruel to children who were not perfect. No, Danny lied, and he felt bad about it. I have not seen anything, but I will keep looking while I work. Do that. And Carter, if you find the dragon, call it in immediately. Do not try to handle it yourself. Dragons are dangerous when it comes to their babies. They can get violent. Greg hurried away to coordinate the search with other workers. Danny stood there with his mop, his mind racing. He pulled out his computer pad and did a quick search about Draconid babies. What he found worried him. Young dragons sometimes ran away from home during a certain age. It was an instinct, something about learning independence. But he also found stories about dragon parents being harsh with children who showed weakness. Some Draconid cultures valued strength above everything else. Was Ember running away? Was that why the dragon had been alone and hurt? Danny needed to know the truth before he handed Ember over to anyone. He abandoned his cleaning cart right there in the hallway and hurried back to the supply room. He needed to talk to Ember again. He needed to understand what was really going on. Danny rushed through the corridors, his heart pounding. Behind him, unseen in the shadows, the mother dragon followed. Kaylindra moved silently despite her massive size. She wanted to see what Danny would do now that he knew her people were searching. Would he turn Ember in to get a reward? Would he panic and make a mistake? Or would he do something else, something that would show his true character? Danny reached the supply room and unlocked the door quickly. He stepped inside and shut it behind him. Ember looked up from the workbench, sensing Danny's worry immediately. What wrong? Ember asked. The words were still careful and slow, but clear enough to understand. Danny knelt down beside the workbench, bringing himself to the dragon's eye level. He needed to be gentle but honest. Ember, I need to ask you something important, and I need you to tell me the truth, okay? Ember nodded seriously. Okay, I tell truth. Did you run away from your family? Are your parents looking for you? Ember's golden eyes filled with tears that sparkled like liquid gold. The little dragon looked down at the bandaged wing, then back at Danny. The dragon's voice was small and sad. I not run away. I fell from the ship. My wing got hurt when I fell. I was scared to call out. I thought Mother would be angry with me. Angry? Why would your mother be angry that you fell and got hurt? Because I am clumsy, Ember said quietly, and the shame in that young voice made Danny's heart ache. I am always clumsy. The other baby dragons fly good. They are strong and fast, but I fall a lot, and I could not speak right. My brothers and sisters laugh at me sometimes. I thought Mother was ashamed of me. Danny felt his chest tighten with emotion. This poor little dragon had been carrying around so much hurt, feeling different, feeling less than the others. Oh, Ember, I am sure your mother is not ashamed of you. She is probably so worried right now. Parents do not stop loving their kids just because they are different or need help. You think so? Really? I know so, Danny said firmly. He reached out and stroked Ember's head gently. My nephew back on Earth, the one I told you about? He could not talk right for years. Some kids were mean to him about it. But his mom never stopped loving him. She loved him even more because he needed her. That is what good parents do. Ember looked up at Danny with hope in those big eyes. My mother loved me, even though I am different, especially because you are different. You are special, Ember. You just needed someone to help you in the right way. At that exact moment, Danny heard a deep sound from outside the door. It was not a normal sound. It made the walls vibrate. It made his bones feel funny. He turned toward the door and saw a huge shadow blocking the small window. Then a voice spoke directly inside Danny's head. It was powerful and ancient and a little scary. You are right, human. I love my child more than the stars themselves. Danny stumbled backward in shock. The door to the supply room should have been too small for anything bigger than a person. But somehow, impossibly, an enormous dragon entered the room. She was the biggest thing Danny had ever seen up close. Kalindra's scales were so dark green they were almost black. They seemed to swallow light and reflected at the same time in mesmerizing patterns. Her wings were folded tight against her body but still brushed both walls. Her head alone was bigger than Danny's entire body, with eyes that glowed like molten gold. Mother, Ember cried out with pure joy. The little dragon jumped off the workbench, forgetting about the hurt wing. Kalindra caught her child gently in one massive claw and brought Ember close to her chest. Danny pressed himself against the wall. His whole body was shaking. He was in a very small room with a very large, very powerful dragon, and he had basically been hiding her child. I can explain, Danny said, his voice shaking so hard he could barely get the words out. I found Ember hurt and scared. I just wanted to help. I was not trying to keep your child from you. I swear I was going to contact someone. I just wanted to make sure Ember was safe first and— Peace, Danny Carter. Kalindra's voice in his head was warm now, almost amused. I have been watching you since the moment you found my child. I saw everything. Danny's brain struggled to understand. You were watching? The whole time? Every moment. I was in the docking bay when you found Ember. I followed you here. I watched through the window while you taught my child to speak. Kalindra's enormous eyes studied Danny carefully. Do you understand what you have done? Danny swallowed hard. Taught a dragon some basic words. You have done what our greatest healers could not do. My child has been unable to speak since hatching. The doctors tried everything. They said Ember's mind was connected correctly, but that the physical coordination needed for speech would never work. They said Ember would be mute forever. Kalindra gently set Ember back on the workbench but kept one protective claw nearby. And then you, a janitor with no training in our species, succeeded in just a few hours where our experts failed for months. How did you do it? Danny thought about the question. His fear was slowly fading, replaced by curiosity. I guess I did not think about Ember being a dragon. I just saw someone who wanted to communicate and could not. I remembered what worked for my nephew. I treated Ember like a person who needed patience and kindness, not like a problem to solve. Exactly, Kalindra said, and Danny could hear approval in her mental voice. Our teachers knew too much about dragon biology. They made it complicated, but you saw something simple, a child who needed help, and you gave that help freely, expecting nothing back. Ember chirped happily from the workbench. Danny is a good teacher. Danny is my friend. Yes, my precious one. Danny is a very good friend. Kalindra looked at Danny again with those huge glowing eyes. You were also ready to protect my child. You lied to your boss. You risked your job because you wanted to make sure Ember was safe first. Danny felt his face get hot. How did you know about that? I was there. I heard everything. I'm always watching. Kalindra's tone became more serious. You judged correctly that handing a frightened, hurt child back without understanding the situation would be wrong. You chose to find the truth first. That shows wisdom. I really was about to contact you, Danny said honestly. I just wanted to talk to Ember first. Make sure everything was okay. A child should be with their parent. Kalindra's expression changed. If a dragon could smile, that is what she was doing. And that, Danny Carter, is exactly why I am going to change your life. Danny stared at the enormous dragon in front of him. Kalindra's words echoed in his head. Change his life? What did that mean? I am sorry, what? Danny asked. Kalindra's lips pulled back in what might have been a dragon smile. Her teeth were huge, each one the size of a knife. But somehow Danny was not scared anymore. There was kindness in her voice, warmth in those glowing eyes. You have done a great service for my family, a service that cannot be measured or repaid easily. By the laws of my people, I must offer you a reward. But more than that, I want to reward you. You showed kindness to my child when you had no reason to. You helped Ember when you could have walked away. That means something. That is really not necessary, Danny said quickly. I was just doing what anyone would do. I could not leave a hurt baby alone. No, Kalindra interrupted, and her mental voice was firm. That is the point. Not everyone would have done what you did. Most people would have reported finding Ember immediately. Some might have tried to capture a dragon baby for money. Dragons are valuable on the black market. A few might have been cruel. But you were kind. You were patient. You were exactly what my child needed in that moment. She moved one of her massive claws toward Danny. He noticed she wore several beautiful rings that seemed to glow with their own light. The rings looked ancient and important. I am Kalindra, first voice of the Draconid High Council. I am guardian of the Eastern Nebula. I hold 7 ancient names that I earned through centuries of service to my people. She dipped her huge head slightly. And you, Danny Carter, have earned the friendship of dragons. That is a rare gift. Danny did not know what to say. He carefully touched one of Kalindra's talons with his hand, the way he might shake someone's hand. The scale under his fingers was warm and impossibly smooth. I am honored. Really, but I do not need a reward. Seeing Ember happy and back with you is enough for me. You humans always dismiss your own worth so easily, Kalindra said, though her tone was gentle. Tell me, Danny Carter, why do you work here as a janitor? What did you want to do with your life before you came to this station? The question surprised Danny. No one had asked him about his dreams in years. He glanced at Ember, who was watching him with curious golden eyes, then back at Kalindra. I used to want to be a teacher, Danny admitted. The words felt strange to say out loud after so long. Back on Earth, I wanted to work with kids, help them learn. But college was too expensive. My dad got really sick and the medical bills were huge. My family needed money, so I took whatever jobs I could find. Eventually, I ended up here. He shrugged, trying to act like it did not bother him. But it did. It had always bothered him. It is fine, though. Honest work is good work. I should not complain. But it is not your dream, Kalindra said softly. Dreams cost money I do not have, Danny said with a sad smile. That is just how life works sometimes. Ember made a distressed sound and reached toward Danny with one small claw. But Danny should teach. Danny is so good at teaching. He taught me in just hours. He should teach more. Ember is completely right, Kalindra said. You have a gift, Danny Carter. A real gift for teaching. That gift should not be wasted cleaning floors. Cleaning is important work, yes, but it is not what you were meant to do. She seemed to be thinking, her huge eyes studying Danny carefully. Then she spoke again, and her words changed everything. I have a proposal for you. Come with us to Draken Prime, the homeworld of my people. Become Ember's personal tutor. You have already proven you can help my child. I want you to continue that work. Danny's mouth fell open. He could not believe what he was hearing. You want me to come live on a dragon planet? To be Ember's teacher? I want you to do what you were always meant to do. Teach. Kalindra's voice filled with warmth and certainty. You would have access to everything our civilization has to offer. Our libraries hold knowledge from 1,000 worlds. Our technology is far beyond what you have seen. You would learn our ways, our language, our culture, and while you teach my child, you would also be learning. She leaned closer, her enormous head now just inches from Danny. He could see his own reflection in her golden eyes. Once Ember's speech is fully developed and my child no longer needs your constant help, I will ensure you receive the finest teacher training in the galaxy. You could then teach anywhere you want. Any world, any species. With credentials from Draken Prime, every door would be open to you. You could finally live your dream. It was too much to take in all at once. Danny looked at Ember, who was practically bouncing with excitement on the workbench. You stay? You teach me more words? More everything? Ember asked hopefully, those big eyes shining. I do not know, Danny said honestly. His mind was spinning. It is a huge decision. I have never left this station. I do not know anything about dragon culture. What if I mess up? What if I cannot do it? You know the most important thing already, Kalindra said gently. You know how to see someone for who they really are. You know how to help them become who they can be. That is what teaching truly is. That is the heart of it. Danny thought about his tiny room on the station. He thought about his boring job, the same tasks every single night. He thought about how he had given up on his dreams years ago and convinced himself he was fine with it. Then he looked at Ember's hopeful face. He remembered the joy he had felt teaching the little dragon to speak. That moment when Ember first said a clear word, the happiness and pride in those golden eyes. Danny had not felt that kind of purpose in so long. Would I be able to visit Earth sometimes? Danny asked. I have a sister there. And a nephew I really want to see. Of course, you would not be a prisoner, Danny. You would be an honored guest in my home. You could come and go as you wish. Though I hope you will find enough reasons to want to stay with us. And what about my job here? I cannot just leave without telling anyone. That would not be right. Kaylindra's laugh rumbled through Danny's mind like distant thunder. I am first voice of the High Council. I believe I can explain your departure to the station management in a way that protects your reputation. In fact, I will make sure they understand what an excellent worker you were. You will leave with honor, not as someone who ran away. Danny found himself smiling. When he had started his shift tonight, he expected to mop floors and empty trash. He never imagined he would end up being offered a job by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He looked at Ember again. The little dragon was watching him with such hope, such trust. How could he say no to that face? Okay, Danny said, making the choice before he could overthink it and talk himself out of it. Yes, I will come with you. I will be Ember's tutor and teacher. Ember let out a happy trill that was almost musical. The little dragon did a small hop on the workbench, being careful of the bandaged wing. Danny comes with us. Danny will teach me everything. There is one more thing, Kylindra said. She reached out with one claw and very gently touched Danny's forehead. Just the lightest tap. Warmth spread through Danny's whole body. Suddenly he could feel emotions that were not his own. Ember's joy felt like sunshine. Kylindra's approval felt like a warm blanket. And something else, something deeper, a connection like an invisible thread linking his mind to theirs. What did you just do? Danny asked, feeling awed and a little scared. I have given you the ability to hear our true speech, the telepathic language that all dragons use with each other. It will allow you to communicate more deeply with Ember and with all of my kind. We rarely give this gift to other species, but you have earned it, Danny Carter. Danny could feel the connection humming softly in his mind. It felt right, like something that had always been missing was now in place. He looked at Ember and thought the words instead of saying them. Can you hear this? Ember's eyes went huge with surprise and delight. Yes, I hear you. Danny is in my head now. Like Mother talks to me. Danny laughed, feeling pure joy bubble up inside him. This was real. This was actually happening to him. His whole life was about to change, and for the first time in years he felt excited about the future. Over the next hour, Kylindra made good on all her promises. She contacted the station manager directly, using her authority as a High Council member. Danny listened as she explained the situation in her powerful mental voice that somehow also came through the station's communication system. She told them that Danny Carter had found and helped her injured child. She praised his quick thinking and gentle care. She made it clear that Danny was now under her personal protection and would be leaving the station to work for her family. She also made sure Danny received full pay for the rest of his contract, plus a large bonus that made Danny's hands shake when he saw the number. The station manager was so eager to please Kylindra that he agreed to everything immediately. Danny suspected the man was terrified of upsetting such an important dragon. That was probably smart. Kylindra also arranged for Danny's few belongings to be collected from his small quarters and brought to her ship. He did not have much. Some clothes, a few pictures from Earth, his grandmother's old music player, but they were important to him, and Kylindra made sure everything was handled carefully. As the sun began to rise over the station and Danny's night shift came to an end, he found himself walking through the corridors toward the diplomatic docking bay. Ember rode on his shoulder, perched carefully to avoid hurting the bandaged wing. Kylindra walked beside them. She had somehow made herself smaller to fit through the hallways, though she was still impressively large. Other station workers stopped and stared as they passed. Danny saw their shocked faces. He spotted Greg Murphy standing in a doorway with his mouth hanging open so wide it looked like his jaw might hit the floor. Danny just waved and kept walking. He felt strange, like he was in a dream. His old life was already fading behind him. His new life was waiting ahead. They reached the docking bay and Danny got his first good look at Kylindra's ship. It was beautiful in a way that took his breath away. The hull seemed to be made of crystal that had been shaped like dragon scales. It glowed with soft inner light and changed colors as he looked at it. Blue, green, purple, gold. It was like looking at a living rainbow. That is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, Danny said quietly. Wait until you see Dracon Prime, Kylindra said with warmth in her mental voice. Our homeworld makes the ship look plain. They started to board, but Kylindra paused at the entrance. She turned to look at Danny with those huge glowing eyes. Before we leave, I want you to understand something important, Danny Carter. You changed my child's life tonight. Ember was lost and hurt and afraid of being different. You showed my child kindness and patience. You proved that being different is not being broken. That is a gift beyond measure. She moved closer, her voice becoming softer. But I believe this journey will change your life too. You were meant for greater things than cleaning floors. You gave up on your dreams because life was hard and you needed to help your family. That shows strength and love. But now you have a chance to dream again. You will discover what you are truly capable of. I promise you that. Thank you, Danny said, and he meant it with his whole heart. Thank you for seeing something in me that I stopped seeing in myself. I see what you saw in Ember. Potential waiting to be unlocked. Someone special who just needed the right opportunity. Kaylindra gestured toward the ship with one claw. Now come. Your new life awaits. They boarded the ship together. The inside was even more amazing than the outside. Everything seemed to be made of that same glowing crystal. The walls showed views of space even though they were solid. Danny could see stars and nebulae swirling around them like they were floating in the middle of the galaxy. Kaylindra led him to a comfortable room that would be his quarters during the journey. It had a bed that adjusted to his size, a desk where he could work, and a large window showing the stars. Compared to his tiny quarters on the station, it was like a palace. Rest here while we prepare for departure, Kaylindra said. The journey to Dracon Prime will take several days. We will have time to discuss your new role and what you will teach Ember. She turned to leave, but Ember hopped off Danny's shoulder and onto the bed. The little dragon looked up at Kaylindra with pleading eyes. Can I stay with Danny? Please? I want to practice more words. Kaylindra looked at Danny with a question in her eyes. Danny smiled and nodded. I do not mind at all. We can work on vocabulary. Very well, Kaylindra said. But do not tire yourself, little one. Your wing needs rest to heal. After Kaylindra left, Danny sat on the bed next to Ember. The dragon immediately curled up against his side, warm and content. Tell me about Dracon Prime, Danny said. What is it like? Ember's eyes lit up with excitement. It is so pretty. Mountains touch the sky, cities in the clouds, libraries big as moons, flying everywhere. You will love it. The dragon's speech was getting better by the minute. Each word came easier than the last. Danny felt proud watching Ember's progress. Will the other dragons be nice to me? I am the only human, right? They will love you, Ember said confidently. You helped me. Mother will tell everyone. You will be hero. Danny was not sure about being a hero, but he appreciated Ember's faith in him. He stroked the dragon's head gently. You know what? I'm really glad I found you tonight. Even though I was scared at first. You changed my life too, Ember. You gave me my dream back. Best friends, Ember said sleepily. You and me, best friends forever. Best friends forever, Danny agreed. The ship began to hum softly. Danny felt a slight vibration as the engines powered up. Through the window, he watched as the station grew smaller. They were leaving. His old life was literally disappearing behind him. For a moment, Danny felt scared. What if he was making a huge mistake? What if he could not do this? What if he failed? But then Ember made a soft, happy sound in sleep, trusting and peaceful against Danny's side. And Danny remembered the joy he had felt teaching the little dragon to speak. He remembered the purpose and meaning he had felt for the first time in years. Maybe this was scary. Maybe it was a huge risk. But it was also a chance to be who he was meant to be. A chance to make a real difference. A chance to teach and help and matter. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel and the stars outside became long streaks of light. They were on their way to Dracon Prime, Danny's new home, his new life. Kaylindra's voice spoke softly in his mind, private just between them. You did a brave thing tonight, Danny Carter. You showed courage and kindness when no one was watching. Those are the marks of a truly good person. I'm honored to have you join my family. Welcome home. Danny felt tears prick his eyes. Home. He had not felt like he had a real home in so long, just places he stayed while he worked. But maybe now, on a planet full of dragons, billions of miles from Earth, he would finally find where he belonged. He looked down at Ember, sleeping peacefully. The little dragon's wing was already healing. Soon Ember would fly, and Danny would be there to see it, to cheer and celebrate. He would teach Ember so many things. Not just words, but ideas and dreams and all the wonders the galaxy had to offer. And in teaching Ember, Danny would remember his own dreams. He would become the teacher he had always wanted to be. He would help other young dragons learn and grow. He would make a difference in the universe, one student at a time. Sometimes life surprised you. Sometimes you started your day expecting nothing special, and you ended it with your whole world changed. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness led to the biggest adventures. Danny had found a hurt baby dragon and decided to help. That was all. Just simple kindness from one being to another. And that simple kindness had transformed both their lives. As the ship raced through space toward Draken Prime, Danny closed his eyes and smiled. He did not know exactly what the future would bring, but for the first time in years he was excited to find out. He had a friend. He had a purpose. He had a dream reborn, and he had dragons who believed in him. That was more than enough. That was everything. The journey was just beginning, and Danny Carter, former janitor and new teacher to dragons, was ready for whatever came next. The galaxy was huge and full of wonders, and he was finally going to see them all. With Ember by his side and the stars lighting the way, Danny headed toward his new life. A life of teaching and learning, of friendship and purpose, of dreams that he thought were lost forever, but had been found again in the most unexpected way. Sometimes the best things in life came from the simplest choices. Choose kindness. Choose to help. Choose to see the potential in others, even when they cannot see it in themselves. Danny had made those choices tonight, and because of that everything had changed for both of them, forever.